And welcome back to yet another edition of the Patriots Only Please podcast. Now, you may be wondering, there's 3 squares in our little thing here, and that's because we are joined today by a very illustrious guest. I may even move one of us out of the way and just give this complete. So today we are talking with. I'm going to flash a little graphic here on the screen. So we are talking today with Amy Wood, who is otherwise known as the Western Regional Manager for Nevada and Arizona for Turning Point Action. Those of you who, I'm sure anybody who watches this is very familiar with Turning Point and Charlie Kirk and all of that. So yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. If we had like an applause track, we would totally play that. Maybe I'll put that in like post-production. But yeah, Amy Wood, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, virtual audience, round of applause. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to get on your show a while ago and it just never really worked out. As you all know, we were in an election season and I myself was extremely busy. So again, thank you so much for having me on your show to talk a little bit about Turning Point and, all the fun stuff that we've been doing over the last, I don't know, what is it, almost 24 months now that I've been with Turning Point. So
Wow. So, I mean, it's 24 months. So yeah, essentially 2 years. Yeah. 2 years leading up to this historic election. I think certainly everybody on our side is historic election and what will prove to be, I'm sure, a historic presidency second time around. First of all, thank you for everything that you guys did, Charlie and the entire Turning Point team. I think both of us can agree that you really did a lot moving the needle, especially for younger voters, people who are just kind of getting into the game. Could you kind of walk us through, like, what exactly do you do as that kind of Western regional manager? How did you get involved in that? Like, how did this whole adventure start for you 24 months ago?
Well, crazy story. But prior to working in politics, I was a nurse for well over 20 years. So I lived in California. Me and my husband lived there. I have 2 grown daughters. I actually have 2 grandsons. So I'm aging myself a little bit here, but I was a nurse for well over 20 years. My last job as a nurse was a case management position in Orange County, California. Okay. And then we all know what happened in 2020, right? So I've always been conservative. I've just never been very outspoken about my politics. I mean, I hang around conservative people. I have conservative values, brought up in the church, all of those things. But 2020 happened. At that time, I was a case manager, like I said, for a very, very large insurance group in Orange County, California. Mm-hmm. And I was taking care of a batch, a group of seniors. And during that time, a lot of them did test positive for, COVID-19. Hopefully this doesn't get blocked or anything when I use these words, but Nope. They tested positive for that and we were treating them well. We were successful. I didn't have a single senior patient die during the initial start of COVID. And there could be, I'm not going to argue about the reasons why, but we were treating them with things that months later we were told no longer worked. So for me, that was a very big red flag. And then we were told that we could no longer use those quote unquote holistic alternative things, right? So again, going back to just common sense, I was like, this doesn't sit well with me. And I had COVID myself. We recovered. I had the physician there who worked, one of the head physicians was like, here, take D3, get outside, do all the things, right? And then all of a sudden we were on these lockdowns. Fast forward a few more months, then now we were going to have mandated vaccines. So being someone who has half a brain on their shoulders, worked in the medical field, I declined. So at that time, my husband worked remote and we were able to just pick up and move. We bought a house out here in Las Vegas, sight unseen, closed within 18 days, and we moved. That being said, because of the fact that we moved to Nevada and we have, no state tax and it's a lot cheaper to live out here and, a lot of different scenarios, I never went back to nursing. So I was thinking I would get a job as a nurse down here. One of the things this is a political thing, but it was a little bit difficult for me to transfer my license here. So I actually still have my license in California. I'm never going to give it up. But that's a whole nother issue when it comes to healthcare here in Nevada. But I started to speak out a little bit politically on government overreach, right? And healthcare and things that I didn't feel were right. I got shut down. I lost my account a few times, had to regrow those accounts. I was never like this massive big influence or anything, but I knew about Charlie Kirk and I knew about his organization. I also knew that they were mostly younger kids, right? So it's like, this is really cool. They're getting younger people involved. I like them. You know, my husband's kind of the one that knows everything that's going on in politics. I just kind of watched. I still had those conservative values, just never outspoken. But I did see a friend who I met from another friend years back, and she posted that they were hiring in Nevada. And I went, I'm just working like hit or miss jobs. I was doing some secretarial stuff, loving life, because not really having to work a whole lot. And I went ahead and I applied. And, you know, to this day, I think I'm one of the oldest. I am the oldest field rep that they have. They finally said,
Wow.
yeah, we're going to give this girl a shot. And so I started with them at the very beginning of March of 23 and was the very first rep here in Nevada. Knew nothing about politics. And I have to tell you, though, I was welcomed with massive open arms when I first hit the ground. People knew who Turning Point was. I was taken in. The NVGOP was very nice to me. Clark County Republican Party was very kind to me. All of these women's groups were very, very welcoming, very, very warm. They were just so happy to have somebody here to have a voice, somebody with a name behind what we were doing, right? So that's how it all started. So I kind of I dove in. I didn't know a whole lot. I learned as I went along. I've learned a lot along the way. Fast forward though, back in June of 24, these months have just flown by, but in June of 24, I was promoted to the Western Regional Field Manager, which is a little bit different. So now I cover Nevada and Arizona. And I have another rep here in Las Vegas, and I also have another rep in Reno. So I believe I'm up to 11 or 13 reps. I don't know. I can't keep track of them. But so now I cover Nevada and Arizona. So I cover all
which is huge, considering that, you know, Turning Point is based in Arizona. So I mean, that's, you know, you're to be the rep or the manager, you know, the field manager for the home state, as it were. That I'm sure that comes with a lot of responsibility.
It does, you know, different personality, managing different personalities. I think for one, being a little bit older has helped with, you know, maturity level, but also having to deal with, I mean, I dealt with crazy physicians and nurses and insurance plans and stuff like that all along. So, I mean, I can I've been able to handle it. And I just think some life experiences have benefited me. And kind of, I really always go back to it being a God thing. I think that all the things that I went through and the struggles and having to say no to a vaccine and mandates and things like that has kind of set me up for success in this management role.
So what exactly, I mean, if you could kind of walk us through, like, what's kind of the day-to-day responsibilities of this position?
Well, it's changed because now we're out of the election, but during the election season, our big focus was we were doing super chase events. So what a super chase is something it's an outdoor event typically put in a neighborhood. We would bring people together and we would go out and knock doors. One of the things that Turning Point focused on was low propensity voters. So Republican voters, but those are those voters who were newly registered or they hadn't voted in the last 2 election cycles. So we pulled the data of those, and that was really who we were targeting. You know, a couple months prior to the election, we started also Chase the Vote initiatives. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but we did put here in Clark County alone, I believe we had 18 people on the ground, paid boots on the ground, reps who went door to door and worked specific neighborhoods that we targeted. We were working mostly in Congressional District 3. And, you know, we were able to flip a couple seats. We flipped Edgeworth and 35. We got 3 new mama bears on the school board. We have a county commissioner. Not everything went our way, but we did show that our model worked. It worked in Nevada. It worked in Arizona. It worked in the 10 states that we have field reps in. So we were 10 for 10 when we came out of the gate, and we used what we laid out as our Chase the Vote initiative.
Wow. We were super happy in 2020. I'm sorry, we were super when Joe Lombardo won in 2020 and replaced Sisolak. That started the momentum in our state heading in the right red direction, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So he's coming up for election in 26. It, you know, will be something that we'll focus on as well. We want to make sure that we keep Nevada moving forward. Yep. We have really closed the gap when it comes to registered voters. Republicans are starting to, we're not ahead, but we're we're losing less. I like to say that. We don't win everything, but we lose less, right? So we're starting to narrow that gap when it comes to registered voters. And we're starting to have conversations with people that make them understand that their vote truly, truly does matter. So, sometimes we go back to the 2020 election, and I'm not going to go into that. We all have our own opinions about it and what went right and what we think actually went wrong. But at the same time, we want people to feel confident in elections, right? So a lot of things that Nevada has been able to do is make people feel confident in their vote. And as you guys know, we did get a voter ID passed, the first round of that at the elections. We helped get a lot of those signatures with what is it? It's not Protect the Vote. Is it Protect the Vote? No, Repair the Vote. Sorry, it's Repair the Vote with Dave Gibbs. He's awesome, but we did help them get all of those signatures that we needed, and we passed that. So you guys, we're slowly moving that needle. Florida used to be Democrat. They didn't turn red overnight. It takes a little bit. It takes a lot of work, not a little bit, but you have to slowly just move that needle forward and not get caught up in a lot of the things that people want to bring to your attention. I still get emails about, well, they cheated here and they cheated there and they did that. And, they could be right, but we cannot change the past. We need to move forward and make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, and everything that you just talked about, it really describes the work that you guys do, not just the national election that gets all the attention, especially obviously during an election year and all the national politics. That's what gets the majority of the public attention. But you guys have really moved the needle forward for local, state, and local government as well, which is really where a lot of the most significant change happens, at least in our own backyard. So, hats off to you for doing all of that. And whatever you'd like to comment as far as that.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, though. That is so important. People are so gung-ho when it comes to a presidential election, but they forget about where change really happens, right? And that's at the local level. This is voting for your assembly person, your, county commissioners, your school board, attorney general. All of these things, they matter. And so we have to really push that message when we head into 26 with the governor race, assembly seats. I mean, they're just as important, if not more important, I think. So we want to make change here in Nevada. If we want to keep moving the needle forward, we need to do that. So one of the things that Turning Point will be doing, we'll be chasing ballots again. We'll be chasing the vote. Here in Nevada, off the top of my head, we chased over 40,000 ballots.
Fantastic.
Meaning in hand to the mailbox, taking the person to the mailbox, having them drop off their ballot, having those connections with people and making sure that they voted. And when you look back on it, Trump won by 46,000 votes. Had Turning Point not been here, had we not done those big events, had Trump here at Thomas and Mack, had coalition events, had Super Chase events, really pushed out things on social media, we may not have won Nevada. I mean, we're talking 39,000 votes that we collected. That's huge.
See, every little bit helps. Absolutely. So, go ahead, Mike.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that we talk about on the show is two things. All politics are local. So we completely agree with you on that. And one of the things that we learned in doing this show is there are 10 million registered gun owners in this country that don't vote. It blows my head apart that we can't get these folks to vote red. Well, how do we connect with those people? Because they seem like a natural alliance with what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely, and that's a market we probably need. We will tap into. We're going to need to do that. The Nevada is a carry state. It's easier to get here. Thankfully, it's our constitutional right. I'm all for that. But I do think some people are, because of the government overreach. We need to get rid of this. Government overreach scares gun owners. They feel like their name is on this list. They're going to be attacked. They're going to be targeted. And you know what? Rightfully so. Our government has not done a good job of protecting the American citizens and giving them a fair, free trial. There's so many things. I mean, we could talk for hours about the things that are wrong when it comes to the government, but it's an overreach. We are allowed to protect ourselves. We have the 2A constitutional. It's written in the Constitution. We shouldn't be asking the government for that privilege, right? So that's my thinking on it. So that's why I think that they don't vote. But going down that road, we had over 100,000 registered Christians who didn't vote in 2022. So there you go. There you go. So one of the things that we did is we built coalitions, and one of those coalitions with faith was a faith coalition. So it was a Turning Point Action faith coalition, meaning that we built coalitions with faith-based people and some churches. What this did with the churches is it allowed them to use the 501c4, which is the action side. They were less nervous about it because the 501c3, even though no church has ever been prosecuted and found guilty or had it revoked, it made them less nervous about talking politics at the pulpit, which, to be honest with you, they should. They should talk politics from a biblical standpoint, but we have changed that. We are changing it. We got a lot of pastors involved. They were hosting events for us. They came to our events. We do, Charlie is very, very faith-based. We do preachers breakfast. We do preacher roundtable, all of that kind of stuff. So I just think it was everything coming together finally. And that's what made it work. Reaching out to those people who weren't voting, but they had the same values that I do, that you do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But they're scared to vote, or maybe they had always voted Democrat. So we changed their thinking when it came to the general election.
See, that's really, I find that fascinating and quite enlightening that you mentioned that, because the common perception is that, oh, well, if you're Christian or faith-based, then naturally you're going to lean conservative. And I had believed that as well. So I was a little surprised over this last election to hear that particular block wasn't as active as you might have assumed. So it sounds like you guys really, made some headway in that direction.
Yeah, very much so. Going back to the faith-based voter, a lot of them believe, and I believe in Jesus Christ. But here's the thing: they also believe that God will handle everything, and that it's already written and everything's planned out.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. But God also expects us to do the work. He doesn't expect
us
to And so that's one of the things that we really started to talk to Christians about, and, getting them out of the mindset that, yes, we know that God's hand is in everything, but we also need to do the work. And if it's his will that we have a new president, or if it's his will to save this country, which I really felt like we came down to that, then you still need to do your part. So we really, that was a huge message for us. And we were very successful in that.
I grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic and went to all Catholic preparatory schools, a grade school and high school. And there was a great priest teacher in high school that used to say, he was one of the boxing coaches, and he said, pray to God before the fight, believe in God, believe in his word, but also have a great left hook. It's also important to have a really good left hook.
Yeah. I'll remember that. I'll remember that.
The left hook is pretty important too.
It's the old saying. It's the whole, God helps those who help themselves. And look, nothing exemplified a miracle than the assassination attempt that was not successful. So, I mean, if anybody doubts at all that there was some higher power watching over this that said, okay, not today. This is not happening to the United States. So that right there, I thought, should have inspired some of these people to go out and like.
But I think it did to some degree. It exposed the government a little bit more, because we still don't know really what happened. It's kind of been brushed under the rug, right? We're able to get out the United Healthcare CEO guy, which I feel bad for him. That's completely wrong. But at the same time, they know everything about that guy. But we've kind of gone, what really happened?
It's completely true. It's incredible, the lack of coverage over the former president's assassination attempt. We don't know anything about the assailant, anything to this day, nothing. And it's no one talks about it. It's incredible to me how the fake news, the legacy media can just move on to the next thing. Like, that's a pretty important moment in our country's history that we know nothing about.
Well, I think
by design.
Yeah, but you guys are doing it the right way. I don't even think that people hardly, anybody who has critical thinking is turning to the media anymore. So it's either Twitter, and I'm not saying everything that you read is true, but you can usually research a little bit better with links and stuff, or podcasts, social media, even though we still all get shadow banned and blocked and all that kind of fun stuff. But I do think that people are waking up to the fact that media isn't fair. They're fair and they're biased. And that's a whole other story.
Well, this whole thing, and we've talked, Michael and I have talked, off air, just about this whole election, everything that's happening, it's such an interesting time just to be alive. I mean, there's institutions that are just crumbling, the legacy media, Hollywood, everything is just kind of, people are just waking up in general and just realizing that they've been lied to for decades. And so now is the time to, so there's going to be a lot of truth. And as far as, coverage on things like the assassination attempt, assuming we can get all of Trump's cabinet, the appointees through, I think that this won't be the last we've heard of any of that. Speaking of which, when it comes to getting some of these people approved, I mean, obviously we had yesterday, they started with Pete Hegseth. Today they were on Pam Bondi. And I think they were talking with Marco Rubio was in front of today. So I've got my fingers crossed for all of them. I noticed that on your I think it was your X account, you have the banner, give Trump his cabinet, confirmthemandate.com. So I went there and I took care of business and sent the letters and did the whole thing. So there you go.
Wonderful. We need to do that. And it's also just a great resource. You can go in and look and see who's been confirmed. So you can go to tpaction.com/cabinet and it'll pull up everyone that he has picked.
Fantastic.
Then it gives you a little circle around their face and it shows you who's been confirmed and who doesn't need confirmation. It's very educational. These are all the things, like, I'm learning all of this as I've been, just thrown into politics, about what really happens and how many, there's just so many people and their hands are in the pot. It's like, we need to figure this out because I feel like, too many cooks in the kitchen here. And it's the same with our government.
Just to circle back to what Jeff was saying earlier about what a blessing it's going to be for Trump coming in the second time. The blessing to me is the average citizen, whether they're a low propensity voter or an active voter, they now know the fake news is fake. They now know celebrities are sellouts. Like all the stuff that Trump had to face the first time around, not knowing anything about DC or being a president. This time he has all that knowledge and the wind behind his back when it comes to the fake news, to the Democrat, to being the wokeism stuff, the liberalism, the open, like anyone defending the social engineering on the left, men playing against girls in sports. Everyone knows that's nonsense now. So we just have to defeat that. That's been defeated. He can start off moving forward with the whole country knowing we just voted against all that stuff. Right. What a blessing.
I know, it's huge. And I think that looking back on it, yes, we all went through a lot as conservatives. We were pretty much verbally abused on a daily basis. We lost jobs. People were arrested for no reason. And we look back on it, and I really feel like it was a blessing that he didn't win 2020 because now so much more has been exposed. Yep. And slowly but surely people have woken up to this nonsense, this liberal ideology that they're pushing on us, the fake news. I mean, we're talking, there's just so much stuff. The whole thing with RFK coming out to try to clean up the FDA, to try to clean up the food industry. We're launching actually in this month, the Healthy Americans Coalition. So I plan to see both of you guys on the coalition for Las Vegas. No excuses.
We'll be there.
Nope. Together.
We'll be there.
Doing a lot of stuff that I don't know if this ever would have happened had Trump won in 2020, because who was up and coming that would have taken on the deep state? Because that's truly what we are. Well,
I mean, Joe Biden, over 50 years in politics, 38 years as a senator, 8 years as a vice president. On paper, he should have been the best president of all time. But because he's a Democrat, we saw exactly what they're capable of given the reins of power, and it almost destroyed the country. And this is not hyperbole. Honestly, endless wars, open borders, double-digit inflation, just nonsense.
And they just picked their own candidate too. So let's just remember, they're the party of democracy, but yet at the same time, they threw in their own presidential candidate who would never have won a primary.
Well, the irony is that the party of choice, when it comes to gender and things, didn't give their own constituents a choice in their candidate for president. They're hypocrites to the core. So we wouldn't have had an opportunity to see how bad it could actually get had Trump won in 2020. Again, he's going to come in with all this nonsense behind him, a fantastic cabinet, and we're going to move forward. It's the red wave that we prayed about before. Yeah. It's coming in 4 days.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. And so we have to stay positive. And I think I love what you guys are doing. And we need to make sure that we're engaging people, because it's not going to be Trump on the ticket. We have to remember that. So yes, we have a great governor with Lombardo. I think he governs in a way that is effective for Nevada. Right. So I think, he's not super right on a lot of things. And learning in politics that actually, that's a perfect fit for Nevada, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
the Democrats have a bit of a hold on in Carson City, right? We couldn't get rid of what's her name, but they're still, the Democrats still have some power in this state that he has to contend with.
They do, and you know, Susie Lee voted against. She's okay with dudes being in chick sports, so that happens.
Mhm.
So I mean, anyway, you know, we just have to keep exposing them and
Yes.
calling out the bills, the bad bills that they throw on the governor's desk. We have to call
Yep.
them out. We're going to have to be a little bit more, even more aggressive than we were in 24, and start exposing politics at a local level. So.
Yep.
You know, whatever we can do to help you guys, or you help us, would be super awesome. So we
We're
need all
in.
the support we need.
Yeah, we would absolutely love to do that. And look, I tell people this because, you know, Michael and I come from the entertainment business. We're musicians, we're entertainers, you know, here in town for the last 30 years here. And so naturally, a lot of the people that we associate with don't necessarily agree with our politics, unfortunately. So we're kind of very much in the minority there. But I find myself telling my friends on the other side, it's not just about Trump. It's not even just about Republican versus Democrat. At this point, it's about the people versus the deep state or just the establishment in general. That's something I think everyone should be able to get behind. That's why Trump has built this coalition of people like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, and you know, and even some big prominent voices on the left that are now starting to come out and call their own side on their BS. People like Bill Maher and Cenk Uygur from, you know, Young Turk. All these people are coming out and saying, "Wait a minute, wait a second, hold on here."
We might have a Senator John Fetterman flipping here soon.
John Fetterman, yeah, exactly.
It could be a vote that sides with us every now and then. You know, he pushed the Laken Riley Act, and that got approved.
Yes.
Passed, and so I see a lot of positive changes. I mean, Trump's not even in office yet, and you know, it's so frustrating because the Democrats are trying to take credit for a lot of these things that are already happening, but it's because these countries know what's coming. They know what's coming. And so I think we're on the right track here. We do need to make sure that his cabinet gets confirmed. We need to make sure that, you know, people are staying engaged. 4 years is going to fly by.
Oh, yeah. Well, we also need to make sure that he stays. Put him somewhere in a steel bunker for the next 4 days and just just keep him safe.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. And speaking of him doing the job as a president, you probably saw this as well today. The epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened. The man is already I was telling SOLI, I said, just swear him in today. Don't worry about the next few. Just swear him in today.
In terms of the mainstream media not covering important issues, there are 100 people that have been kept in cages since last October 7th, 6 of whom were Americans. That back in the day when Jimmy Carter lost to Reagan, that was what won Reagan the election, that hammering that home. How can that not be important to the rest of the world? I mean, these terrorists, since October 7th of last year, they've been holding these people a ransom. And that should have been in the news every single day.
I know we didn't push that out enough. I think that, I'm hoping that there's massive change on the 20th, that he comes right in and he starts handling this business, because it's sad what we've done to our own American citizens.
100%.
You know, give them, some of them even haven't had a right to trial. A lot of these people who were waiting trial have committed suicide. It's devastating. You know, you just have to ask yourself, how in the world were they going to take over the Capitol with no weapons? I'm just curious.
And they let them in. It was like a guided tour. Anybody who saw the footage, but
again, we have been lied to so badly by the media, that I just hope more people wake up to this.
I think what's happening in California right now, and God bless those people. What L or R, I'm sorry, D or R after their name doesn't matter. They need to be taken care of. But that's an example of a state with a supermajority of Democrats. Talk about entrenched bureaucrats, the deep state. California is a deep state of blue, and this is what happens when that's allowed to top to bottom. It's just that kind of incompetence, and people pay the real taxpayers pay the real price for this. So I think it's going to be a bellwether for the rest of the country to go, we don't want to turn into that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think a lot of people are going to be moving here to Nevada as well, but
Yes.
that's something else that, we got to make sure that they're Republican and they stay away from that crap. But
Exactly.
I think that this could be a very big turning point for California, especially as we watch it unfold. Obviously, I still have family there. I have my sister lives in LA County and my daughter in Orange County. And, so my heart breaks for them. I was born in California, right? So
same. I'm from California as well. Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, I do think this could be a turning point for them. No pun intended, turning point. But
of course.
I just think that people need to wake up to this. And as we see what unfolds and how long, they say that there's going to be no bureaucracy when it comes to rebuilding homes and things. Well, let's just watch. Let's just watch, because what's going on with North Carolina? Why are they still outside freezing with no homes?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in Maui? Like, let's get realistic, people, and talk about what's actually happening. I mean, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist, but so far I'm pretty much batting 100. So it's like, come on, you guys, like, let's just watch what happens in California and how long it's going to take for these people to rebuild, or they may not. So
what's incredible to me is the support we've had for Ukraine, almost going 3.5 years, hundreds of billions of dollars. Do we have any idea who's winning or losing? What's actually happening? We don't get updates. We don't get any kind of. I mean, we literally have no idea what's going on in a war that we're funding. That this proxy war with the second biggest power in the world that we helped start, essentially.
Correct.
I mean, it's incredible to me. It's incredible to me that people just are okay with that. Like,
it's money. My opinion is money laundering, in a whole
100%. I mean, we agree with you. But as to the average American, do we think we're going to just go? This is going to go on forever. We're going to keep giving them money forever.
I don't know. But on the good side, California got $770. The fire victims. So I mean, come on, guys. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So if somebody can't step back and look from a bird's eye view and go, what is going on here? You guys gave another $50 million to Ukraine, and you had Biden go on and say, yeah, we're so pleased that we've been able to give almost $6 million to the fire victims. I'm like, that's not even a dent on what we've given to Ukraine. Not even a dent, right?
Yep.
So we just treat our American citizens so poorly, and it's because of the poor government. It's because of the poor leadership that we have.
Sure. So to sum it up, we've had 4 years of America last, and we're about to start 4 years of America first, and it's going to be a blessing for every single American, for the rest of for the world, really. A strong America makes the world stronger.
They just need to remember what it was like before January 20th, 2025. They need to remember that, because we're going to have another election year in 28. And if these people sit at home and they become lackadaisical and their life's all great now, and we're going to be in the same situation, because the Democrats aren't going to stop. They haven't learned anything.
Yeah, well, so the example there will be if all of a sudden Gavin Newsom is the Democratic nominee. If that happens, then that means that nobody learned anything.
Yeah.
The fires taught you nothing, and that you're just going to keep voting for the same people. It's not enough to vote out a Democrat and replace it with another Democrat. You have to, because ideologically they're all aligned. You have to completely clean the slate and start. And throw somebody else in there for a change,
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Gavin. I think he's done now. I think this is it.
I do too.
And I think that, honestly, I think that they should go and recall him right now, because this is
the fire is a huge metaphor for his entire failure as a governor for the last 10 years. But homelessness is second to that. He vowed at the beginning to make that his one major issue that he would take care of, and it's quadrupled under his tenure.
They funded that initiative with him. They funded it. So where's the money?
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
Went right to his pockets.
I think he's done too. It'll be a blessing to that state to get rid of him and bring in some fresh blood. But I think Trump turned a lot of the districts in California red. California got a lot redder this time around.
It did, and they got rid of an awful. What was it, their district attorney? They got rid of him. They took some.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Laws. They still have massive issues, but again, they're losing less. So they didn't win it. They didn't win, but they're losing less. So I think that's a takeaway we can all go with. I get a lot of people in Nevada who complain like we didn't win certain seats and all of this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, but we're moving the needle. We're losing less, guys. Losing less.
Yeah.
While we have you
Absolutely.
on the show, before we wrap things up, is there a way that people can support Turning Point? Is there a donation site or a way that people can help you guys out financially?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first off, if you want to get involved, go to tpaction.com/coalitions, or just go to the Get Involved tab. Then also at tpaction.com, you can go to donate. And we absolutely live off donations. That's what we're built on. So any support helps us. Turning Point Action, you pretty much find everything there. I am on X at Nurse Amy Wood. You can always message me there, follow me there. I try to behave myself, but that's all I can say about that.
Well, I mean, folks, these people are on the ground making it happen for real. Please help if you can. Please send any support that you can. They've shown what they're able to do with that support. With Trump winning, it's great that we have a majority in the government, but things in 26 can change. We can't let up. Please support their efforts if you can. Please.
Absolutely. And we'll be there. So if it happens in Nevada or Vegas, then, you can come talk to us two idiots.
I'll have you guys push it out for us and show up. Help us with the entertainment.
Absolutely. 100%.
Please do.
Amy,
Please
thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
guys.
we will see you out in the neighborhood very soon.
Keep on trumping.
All right.
Dude, what a fantastic gift to our show, and thank you for her time and her wisdom. And they're really, I mean, they're not ivory tower folks. They're on the ground doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, support tpaction.com, support Amy, and follow her at all of her socials at amy.wood@tpaction.com and at Nurse Amy Wood. And she's got our support, and it was thank her so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And as always, of course, go to patriotsonlyplease.com. Check us out. Figure out when the next show is going to be. Sign up for a mailing list, all that good stuff. You
know what I wanted to ask her, but I was too shy? I wanted to ask her if in person Charlie is really that tall. Because when I saw him, and I saw him at UNLV last year at the college is a scam thing, he's like 8 feet tall, dude. He's a giant.
She's still in she's very patiently waiting. She's still in the thing. I can bring her back up. She was nodding. I was watching. So it's great. No, that's great. That's the thing. We want the introduction with Charlie. We want the picture so we could put that up. But yes, but in the meantime, also go like and subscribe and follow at Patriots Only. Please, if you're not into the whole website thing, just go check out the socials and all that. And until next time, I'll leave you you can close it out with your famous phrase.
Keep on trumping, folks. Keep on trumping. 4 days to go.
I know. Please keep the man safe. All right. Yeah. Bye for now.